eyes went, which gave us some surprise. I spoke into his eyes. I thought you died a long, long time ago. I know, not me. I never lost control. Your face to face with the matters of the world.
Well, maybe you should do this. How about looking at me? That's enough, Ollie. The other guys only get mad if I let you take too many.
Just one more? One? One more.
Okay, one last shot. Now, you got another camera in case one of these lights goes out? Well, it's just standard joke. Standard joke. I'd like you to be generous with that powder of yours. I may have told you, Linda Schreier. Oh, you taking a light reading?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I say blondes photograph better than brunettes, or is it the other way around? I forgot. Okay, back off, Ollie. My friend Ollie, he always likes to take a lot of pictures of me. I'm afraid he's going to catch me picking my nose. You wouldn't print that, though, would you, Ollie?
No, sir.
Now, do we have any Secret Service in the room? There are? How? Just kidding. Just kidding. My straight to back, my collar, it's not ruffled up. Thank you. Well, we're going to want a sound check.
Aeschylus and his Greek contemporaries believed that the gods begrudged human success and would send a curse of hubris on a person at the height of their powers, a loss of sanity that would eventually bring about their downfall. Nowadays, we give the gods less credit. We prefer to call it self-destruction.
30 seconds, Mr. President.
In the summer of 1972, Richard Nixon had brought the war in Vietnam to an end, achieved a diplomatic breakthrough with the Russians, had been the first Western leader to visit the People's Republic of China, and presided over a period of economic stability at home. His approval ratings matched Kennedy's. None of his political opponents could lay a finger on him. He was about to be elected with the largest landslide in recent political history, and then he decided to try to cover up a third-rate burglary.
15 seconds.
2 years later, with impeachment and inevitability, rather than suffer the humiliation of a trial with all the damage that could do to the office of president, Nixon offered his resignation.
5, 4, 3.
Good evening. This is the 37th time I have spoken to you from this office, where so many decisions have been made that shape the history of this nation. Each time, I have done so to discuss with you some matter that I believe affected the national interest.
Like everyone else, I'd watched the Watergate drama play out in my living room. I've been glued to the Select and Judiciary Committee hearings night after night, week after week, month after month. Now finally, it had come to this.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
But instead of the satisfaction I imagined I would feel, I just got angrier and angrier. Because there was no admission of guilt, no apology.
I have never been acquitted. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But I do so, secure in the knowledge that America is a better country and the world a safer place than when I came to power 5.5 years ago.
Little did I know then that I would one day be part of a team that would try to elicit that apology.
To have served in this office is to have felt a very personal sense of kinship with each and every American. I leave with no bitterness towards those who oppose me, but with this prayer. May God's grace be with you in all the days ahead.
and that the team would be led by the most unlikely white knight, a man with no political convictions, indeed, someone who had never voted in his life, but someone who had one big advantage over all of us. He understood television.
And while the eyes of the world are focused on the White House, here in Australia, burglars have broken into a meat factory in Brisbane and stolen a ton of pork sausages. Queensland police are on the lookout for men in a long, thin getaway car.
We in the Nixon camp didn't know much about David Frost, except that he was a British talk show host with something of a Playboy reputation, who had a talk show in the U.S. for a while, which won some awards, but hadn't syndicated well, so was dropped by the network.
My first guest tonight grew up in a tin hut in New South Wales. By the age of 5, she was hitting tennis balls against a wall with a piece of wood.
We subsequently learned that Frost had taken the show to Australia, which is where he was in the morning of August 9th, the day the president left the White House.
A few weeks ago, she became the first Aboriginal Australian to win Wimbledon. She also got engaged to be married. Ladies and gentlemen, Yvonne Goolagong! You can't do it. We won't allow it.
Do what?
You cannot change your name. I mean, Goolagong is the most famous name in Australia. Is there another reason? Something you're not telling us? Your husband's first name isn't Ging Gang, is it?
No, it's Roger. Actually, we were thinking of hyphenating.
The time difference between Washington and Sydney is 14 hours. So as Frost was leaving the stage in Sydney, he was able to catch on TV the president saying goodbye to his staff in the East Room that morning.
I remember my old man. He was a streetcar motorman first. Then he was a farmer. Then he had a lemon ranch. It was the poorest lemon ranch in California, I can assure you. He sold it before they found oil on it. And no one will probably ever write a book about my mother. But my mother was a saint.
Later, some members of the media would claim the president's free associations were the result of staying up all night drinking, and that it marked the beginnings of some kind of mental breakdown. While speaking as chief of staff, someone who's seen him give speeches on hundreds of occasions, I can assure you that was as sober and dignified a performance as I ever saw him give.
And so, I say to all of you, be proud of what you have done. Always give your best. Never get discouraged. Never be petty. Always remember, others may hate you, but those who hate you don't win unless you hate them. And then you destroy yourself.
Moments later, the president and the first lady got into the helicopter on the White House lawn. The president gave a signature wave, the victory salute. Strong, proud, undefeated. Now I'm a military man, but I don't mind telling you. Watching from the helicopter, I wept at that moment. And I wept for a good deal of the journey back to California. While 30,000 feet below us, liberal America cheered. The trendies, the hippies, the draft dodgers, and the dilettantes, they had got rid of Richard Nixon, the boogeyman. And who did they get in his place? Gerald Ford and Jimmy Carter.
A week later, Frost was in London attending an opening night with his friend and longtime producer, John Burt.
John, I'm through. Really through. Come on, show me the car. Ooh, look at that. Head of Current Affairs, London Weekend Television. Oh, you clever, clever thing. You must be so proud.
Thank you, I am.
Let me guess. Already reshaping the department? Coming up with 5-year plans, lists? You were always a list man.
I like to be organized.
So, The chances of me borrowing this wouldn't be great.
I don't understand.
I'm afraid I've done something, John. In a moment of, well, it's too late now. It's done. I've written to someone asking for an interview. Now, suddenly I find myself in a position of, well, he's a rather large fish that swims not on tricky waters. I suppose what I'm saying is, I really could use the help of an organized mind.
I see.
Oh, but it's madness, of course. You've just got the job, just got your feet under the desk. Forget I ever asked. We fancy the second half of it?
Who is it?
Oh, I can't tell you that. At this stage, it's all on a need-to-know basis.
Who is it?
Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon?
Oh, come on, don't look like that.
How do you expect me to look? I spent yesterday evening watching you interview the Bee Gees. What kind of interview?
A full extensive look over his life, his presidency.
And?
And what?
David, surely the only thing that would interest anyone about Richard Nixon would be a full, no-holds-barred confession.
Oh, we'll get that too.
What?
Oh, come on, John. You know what a blow it was for me, losing that New York show. Now, if I could get Nixon, if I could be the first man to talk with him since leaving the White House, over and above Mike Wallace and those other American guys, now that would be a way back. That would be a get. And it goes without saying that if I got it, there's only one person I would like by my side. Do you know how many people watched his resignation speech? 400 million.
But in the end, Frost heard nothing. Soon after arriving in California, Nixon had fallen into a deep depression and was rushed to the hospital with an acute attack of phlebitis. It was around this time that Ford, desperate to move the agenda on from Watergate, gave Nixon a full, free, and absolute pardon. It meant that the man who committed the biggest felony in American political history would never stand trial. That week, the mood among those of us that believed America still had a healthy democratic tradition was pretty bleak. Meanwhile, the president was still convalescing in a private hospital in Orange County, California.
Mr. President, Swifty Lazar is here to see you.
Irving Paul Lazar, legendary Hollywood agent and hygiene obsessive. Given the nickname Swifty after he did 3 deals for Humphrey Bogart in one afternoon.
Mr. President, good to see you. How you feeling?
Better, thank you. Well, not yet well enough to golf. Imagine, 6 weeks out of office as President of the United States, and they would have me golfing in my hospital room. Never retire, Mr. Lazar. To me, the unhappiest people in the world are those of the watering places. South of France, Palm Springs, Palm Beach, Newport, going to parties every day, playing golf every afternoon, and then drinking too much, talking too much, thinking too little. Retired. No purpose. But to me, what gives life meaning is purpose. The goal, the battle, the struggle, even if you don't win. You know, when my doctors declared me unfit to give testimony in the Watergate hearings, everyone thought that I would be pleased. They were wrong. For those to God.
Well, if it's a challenge you want, Mr. President, here's one you might enjoy. How to spend $2 million. 2.3 to be precise. That's what I got for your memoirs.
Well, thank you.
Which might be a little short of what I wanted, but I can assure you, it's a lot more than they wanted.
That book is important to me. It could be the only chance I have to set the record straight and let people know that the Nixon years were not all bad.
Well, you know, if you wanted to set the record straight, I'd at least talk to him.
Who?
David Frost, the British talk show guy.
Why would I want to talk to David Frost?
Well, because a while back he contacted us for an interview. We didn't get back. Frankly, we thought it was a joke. But if you wanted to tell your side of the story, he'd be the guy who'd let you.
David Frost? Well, I remember before the '68 election, he interviewed all the candidates. Are there any quintessentially American characteristics? Was his opener to me. A reasonable question, and I did my best to answer it. And then came, for an American today, what can the dream or goal be? All right, a little vague, but I gave it a shot. But the third question I will never forget. Now, this was the campaign for the President of the United States. The full glare of publicity, every word being picked over by 1,000 newsmen. And Frost comes up with, at root, what would you say people are on Earth for? Anyway, I thought we were are doing one with CBS.
We are. I just thought it'd be a lot easier doing it with Frost than doing it with Mike Wallace.
It would, but it would also have a lot less credibility.
But we could get better money.
Really?
Look, let me see what I can do. We'll always have 300 grand and Mike Wallace on the table from CBS. But if we could get Frost to pay more and secure better terms, it'd be a shame to pass up.
Well, how much more do you think we could get out of Frost?
How and much? Swifty's two favorite words. To win a deal, he used to say.
You need to know your opponent's breaking point. And to assess that, you might want to call late at night or on the weekend. And if they take your call, it means they're desperate. And from that moment on, you know you've got the upper hand.
Hello.
Mr. Frost, Irving Lazar.
Who?
Swifty Lazar. I represent President Nixon. Am I calling too late?
It was 3 in the morning.
No, not at all.
I'm calling with regards to your request for an interview. And having discussed it, my client is not necessarily opposed to the idea.
Really? That's terrific news.
You haven't heard the terms yet. We were thinking of 4 one-hour interviews, and before you start coming up with any numbers, let me assure you we've already got $350,000 on the table for Mike Wallace and CBS. You want us to consider your bid, you're going to have to significantly improve on that.
Oh, really? Well, the highest I'm prepared to go is $200,000. I would need to speak to my backers.
I suggest you do that. Shall I tell you what else would be mandatory?
Please do.
A taping ratio of 2 to 1, a guarantee not to air before serialization or publication in any part of his memoirs, a percentage of all profits from $1, gross, not net, and a non-refundable down payment of $200,000 on signature. I got $500,000.
Is that good?
Mr. President, it's $500,000 for a news interview. It's unprecedented.
What's the catch?
With Frost, none. It's a big wet kiss. A Valentine. This guy's gonna pitch puffballs all night and pay $500,000 for the privilege.
You think you could get $550,000 out of it?
He got 6. In any deal, Swifty used to say.
There's always give and take. They give you the money, you take it, and you get the next train out of town.
A month later, Frost got on a plane to California to sign the contract. He took a friend with him.
I just want you to know, I'm here on my own holiday time. My presence on this plane is not indicative of any involvement in a professional capacity. In any way.
Of course.
Simply a hand-holding exercise. As a friend. Fact-finding trip to Orange County. How could you have done that?
What?
$600,000 is a fortune, Dave.
Don't worry about the money.
But I do. Most Americans think Nixon belongs in jail and you're making him a rich man. Plus, by our bidding, then you've made enemies of the networks, who are already sounding off about checkbook journalism.
They're just jealous.
Well, the networks are against you. Syndication is always going to be a struggle. No syndication, no advances, no commercials, no
Come on, Tom,
ads,
stop
no-
being such an old maid.
Plus, and this is the bigger question, why do it? You don't need it, your career's in great shape. It would spread you across 3 continents and jeopardize the other shows. Is it true Channel 7 in Australia wants you to do another season?
Yes.
And London too?
Yes, but that is London and Australia. This would be...
What?
And I understand you were never part of the New York show, but it's indescribable, that feeling when you're up. Like success in America is unlike success anywhere else. And the emptiness when it's gone. The sickening thought that it's left you, that it's gone somewhere else to someone else, and will never come back. There's a restaurant in New York. It's called Sardi's. Ordinary mortals cannot get a table. John, the place was my canteen.
You know, I'd be a lot happier if I had some kind of vision you had for this interview, or anything. But I don't. I just see a man doing it because it would create headlines or give him a place at the top table. And that makes me nervous. Very nervous.
Yes, and you do nervous so beautifully.
Champagne for sir?
I'm going to try and get some rest.
You don't like champagne?
Not on aeroplanes.
Yes, it dehydrates one terribly. The trick is to order a glass of water on the go, the way the Viennese serve coffee.
I've never been to Vienna.
Oh, you would like it. It's like Paris, without the French. Good book. Middlemarch. You know, they say the town of the book is based on the place where I grew up.
Which was?
Kempston, in Bedfordshire. Although, truth is, we pretty much lived everywhere in our time. My father was a minister.
Really? In which party?
The Methodists. You know, you could be a Dorico.
Thanks.
Oh, come on, now, don't look like that. She is one of English literature's most famous beauties.
But she's so earnest and decent and false for such a vain, self-important older man.
Well, nothing wrong with vain, self-important older man. What is your name?
Caroline.
David.
Yes, I know. David Frost. I heard an interview with you recently. On the radio, you were giving it from the back of your Rolls Royce.
Ben.
On the phone. They said you were a person who defined the age we live in.
Really?
You and Vidal Sassoon. What made you exceptional, they said, was that you have seemed to have achieved great fame without possessing any discernible quality.
How kind.
And that you fly around a great deal.
It's true.
Why?
I like to keep busy.
Why?
I find it more interesting than keeping still.
Why?
Because there is plenty of time for that when I am dead.
What a strange thing to say. You have sad eyes.
Do
Has anyone ever told you that before?
I? No.
Are you a sad person?
Let's talk a little bit about you.
Of course. You feel more comfortable asking the questions.
How right you are. Why are you going to Los Angeles?
It's where my boyfriend lives.
Pity.
With his new girlfriend.
Things are looking up.
I'm going to pack together my belongings to ship them back home.
To London?
Monte Carlo. It's where my ex-husband lives.
You are complicated.
Thank you. How about you?
Am I complicated?
Are you single? That is what you were asking, isn't it?
Yes, I am. Technically, I think.
This is your captain speaking. You may have noticed we've now begun our final descent into Los Angeles. Would you kindly return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts?
Why are you going?
To meet Richard Nixon.
Really? They say he has the most enormous head with the sexiest voice. Where is he now? In some dark, underground cave, licking his wounds?
No, actually, it's a rather smart beachside villa in California.
Richard Nixon in a seaside villa? How incongruous.
Yes, it's called Casa Pacifica. And I'm told he still rides in a golf buggy, which has the presidential crest on it.
How interesting. It must be hard to let some things go.
You can come if you like.
To meet Nixon?
Why not? I'm sure he would like you. He could be your Mr. Kosovo.
He is rather like Mr. Cosbon. Are you sure?
Yes.
I'd love that.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you kindly return your seats to the upright position, extinguish any cigarettes, and prepare for landing. We very much hope you have enjoyed traveling with us.
My office will call you in the morning and said
and so to Casa Pacifica, Richard Nixon's beachside villa, like a movie star's residence. Tennis court, old Spanish-style buildings, steps down to the beach. He and his aides had spent more and more time here as the presidency dragged on. You can understand why. A private beach and an ocean had to have been a lot more attractive a prospect to wake up to every day than the thousands of us protesting on his doorstep in Washington.
And that's where Brezhnev and I had our summit underneath that tree there. See, Brezhnev was there, Gromyko there,